And we're live. All right, guys, welcome back to another Corona Geek on-air hangout here on Google+, the show completely dedicated to mobile development using the Corona SDK. How's everybody doing out there? Yeah?
Having fun.
Having fun? All right, I'm Charles McKeever. I'm joined in the studio here with Dr. Brian Burton,
Hello.
author of several Corona SDK books. Hey, Brian.
Hey.
And also joined with Christopher Ward, big gnome hunter and zombie apocalypse expert. Can we do that?
Well, just not dinner.
Let's do expert, man. You should get a T-shirt that says "Zombie Apocalypse Expert." And we're also joined in the studio by Dean Murphy, author of Joke Shake, the extremely popular app for jokes and all things funny. Hey, Dean. So Dean's joining us from the UK, which is I think is a stellar part of the things that we're doing here with the Google Hangout, being able to bring together developers from all over the world. So I think it's uber cool. So, Toff, if you would, let's go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about. Give us the agenda for today.
Absolutely. Well, first thing we're going to talk about is a potential T-shirt contest. Not wet. Just erase that from your mind right now. Next up, we've got an affiliate program. We definitely need to... Yeah, you're shaking your head. You knew you were thinking about it. Anyway, we've got some build notes, as always. We've got some Lua tips, which there is no such thing as enough Lua tips, so this is an awesome thing. We happen to have Dean Murphy, which is right over there. I think. It depends on how you're looking at the screen. I don't know which way Google is, but he's there. Hey, we're the monkeys. Sorry, I came back. I show my age on that one. We've got a community question, which actually was kind of one I've been stumbling on, which is, how do I price my app? So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some Dropbox, because we use that extensively. We actually got to go out to the mall and look at some hands-on devices, so we're going to talk about some of those devices, mostly because Charles actually came home with a few of them, so that's the danger of running around and taking a look at them. And then we're going to talk about the API of like a database versus JSON. So let's hit it off.
All right.
Tell us more about T-shirts.
Yeah, so let's do this thing with the T-shirt. So we've been talking with David Rangel, who is the COO, right? Chief Operating Officer there at Corona Labs, and he's offered up to basically send out T-shirts if we want to do a contest. And so, I've never run a T-shirt contest before, so I don't have the first clue about how to go about that. So I want to kind of throw it out to you guys and to the community at large and say, how would you like to handle that? Do you want to do comments in the post and we'll pick somebody at random, or is it a matter of somebody liking us on Facebook, or you want to write an article for us and then we'll send out a T-shirt? I don't know. How do you guys want to do this? Any thoughts?
Oh, I was thinking write an app for it, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, maybe we could modify Dean's Joke Shake, and then we'll just shake the app and do the magic 8-ball thing. Okay, well, I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna try to figure that out internally here, and then we're gonna do some Corona T-shirt giveaways. So be on the lookout for those. And if you have suggestions or something like that, send those to questions@coronageek.com, and let's talk about it, because we need ideas. Next up is Brian. Brian's got an affiliate program that he wants to talk about, right? Aren't you doing something for your book?
Yeah, I've just launched an affiliate program on my website. If you go to burtonsmediagroup.com and click on the resource tab, there towards the bottom of the page is a link for getting signed up on the affiliate program. Basically, you can post an ad for one of my books or my textbooks and receive 10% commission should any sales come about through that ad.
Okay.
So,
And that's right up there with Amazon, right? That's what Amazon's doing.
I think Amazon's 5%. So
Is it 5%? So this is even better.
Yeah, I'm giving better percentage than Amazon here. So.
And you're probably doing more than a 15-second cookie too, right?
That's right. I think it's set for 90 days on the cookie. So.
Oh, well, there you go. So you're giving somebody an opportunity for 90 days to make a commission on the sale of the book, whereas Amazon is it's 24 hours, I believe, is their cookie. It expires after 24 hours. So if somebody somebody clicks on that link, goes to Amazon, you only have a 24-hour window for making any kind of sale on or commission on that. So that's a much better deal. So greater commission rate, longer cookie, and which is it available for both books?
Yeah, any of the books. It's and we do have a Portuguese version of the textbook available now. So, and we're working on Spanish and Russian and Chinese and Korean, and I've got people working with me to translate all of those versions. So yeah, it counts for any of them. And I've got 2 new books coming. One's another one on Corona. It's called Learning Mobile App Development, and it's for the non-programmer, someone who's never programmed before or it has been years. You took it back in high school or college, and hey, now you got that idea. It's time to get started on that app. So yeah, we've got that one coming, and then I'm working on another book with a friend of mine that's also a professor that actually uses Unity. So we won't talk too much about that one, but that'll be coming towards the beginning of the new year.
What's your thing say there, Toff? Just say, does not speak Russian.
I'm hoping I get to select, and it's just not a random, hi, I want to buy your book. Oh, okay, we'll randomly give you one of some language that you can't read.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brian, I'm sure hope you got some help going there. Either that or you know a lot of languages, because that's...
I can read a few languages. Speaking them, I'm lucky to get English out. So
there you go. There you go. Well, that's a good deal. I like the fact that you're adding in the whole Lua, intro to programming sort of aspect of things. Because I know there's a lot of tutorials out there on Corona on how to do things, but they assume a certain level of knowledge.
Yeah, I'm trying to really take it from the direction that it could be used in a classroom. If you're an experienced programmer, you just need, show me the API and I can program. But if you're new to developing for mobile devices, quite often you need somebody to lead you through the process or hold your hand a little bit. And that's what I've planned for this book to be, is that it'll hold your hand, help you learn the information in a systematic way that makes it possible for you to create your own app.
Okay, so going back to your the affiliate part of that, when you sign up, you're providing banners and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got banners, ads. I need to get a few more banners created. Graphics aren't my strong suit, but
okay. So all they have to do is copy paste, right? I mean,
yes.
Okay. So this would, if you're talking about, so if you're out there and you're talking about mobile development or the Corona SDK or anything kind of stuff like that, this would be a good opportunity to earn some cash. All right, so let's talk about latest build release notes. There's some pretty exciting things going on out there, and there's actually too much to talk about in today's show, but I know that there was, Dean, you had highlighted the fact that in 942 that they had released some widgets and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, they got some new widgets which help making apps rather than games, so it's good to see they're catering for that.
Yeah, because I know there had been a big discussion about whether or not Corona SDK was just for game development, or if it, you could use it for building business apps and things like that. I know that some people had commented on Corona Geek that the widget library was kind of lacking in some areas. At least they felt like it was. So this is a nice improvement where basically they've added, what was it? Brian?
Progress bar. You got a plus minus switch. You've got radio buttons. There were several others as well. One that was just simply added last night, so I don't remember everything that's there now. But it was like 4 or 5 more widgets are now available to us.
Yeah, let's see here. What do you got there, Chris? Oh yeah, so the release
They've
notes
been
are out
busy.
there. Yeah, they definitely have been busy. So this beeps up the application side of things for sure, and that's also for iOS and Android, which I thought was good, so that they're covering both sides of the house there. What else was there? I think I don't remember what build it was, but basically, iOS 6.01 or whatever is out now. So in the release notes, they had said, essentially, Kernel Labs had said, we want everyone to be on top of iOS betas from now on. Please start building against the 6.1 SDK and testing your apps on 6.1 devices. So they're really pushing for everybody to try to be on the latest and greatest, and that's primarily because, like they've discussed before, Apple's pushing. I mean, Apple wants.
And that, of course,
everybody to
assumes you're building for iOS, not Android. If you're just building for Android, you don't have to worry about that. That's not
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I know that we've seen with iOS, there's been a huge uptick, an adoption rate of 6.0, iOS 6. So that's been really good. And then on the Android side of the house, I know that's always a point of contention for them, is people are still running on gingerbread or ice cream sandwich or jelly beans, so they're always kind of just spread out as to what OS they're on. But on the Apple side of the house, they're really pushing for you to try to be on the latest and greatest, so which pushes the developers to have to stay up to date on that. So that's it. That's all we're going to cover for that. That's a lot. Like I said, there's a ton of notes. We'll put them in the show notes for this this time, so you can go out and read them. But there was a lot of updates, bug fixes, things like that, and so those were a few of the most exciting things that we wanted to just kind of cover. So let's move on to blog highlights. Blog highlights. There was a lot of stuff I thought was interesting. One was on the Corona Labs website. So if you go to coronalabs.com and click on resources, yeah, bring that up, Chris. You click on resources, then it takes you to that's the Lua programming tips. But if you click on the resources tab on the website, it'll actually take you to a page where they've got the documentation. So so it says Corona SDK Tech Tutorials there on the left-hand side. And what this is basically they've taken all the tutorials that they kind of have spread out throughout the blog, and they've brought them all together. Yeah, they've brought them all together in one place, so you can kind of and categorize them, so you can kind of go through and get an idea of what's going on. This is all kind of information that was already there on the site. They've just kind of reorganized it and put it together in a way that makes sense. So you get the basics of Corona, media, events. I think there was some stuff in there about widgets, lower down, and all that kind of stuff. So all those things that you would immediately want to come in and try to do, they've got tutorials for, and they've just kind of brought those to the top and organized them. So so I thought that was really good. I actually would like to see. I mean, here's what Charles would like to see. Here's what I'd like to see is actually like instead of having to go to resources and then go to those tutorials, I would love to just see just a getting started, or a tutorials place on the menu bar, so you don't have to dig on the website. But this is a good start, bringing all that together and organizing it's good.
Well, and let's not forget that there's Corona Learning out there that does have all the tutorials available. coronalearning.com. We'll put a link in our show notes to that. But
yeah. That's an excellent resources, and there's a ton of stuff on there. My only comment to that, the one caveat to that, is that some of those tutorials are written around a lot of stuff that's deprecated.
Right.
a lot of the things that don't work anymore. When you did now you're doing storyboard. You're not doing director.
Didn't do director. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas these tutorials are a little more up to date.
Right.
with the current API and stuff like that. So so that's always a catch. And I actually put this out on, I can't remember where I put it on one of the social media sites, and I was saying that I would love to put together a list of deprecated stuff, so that you could come and see, okay, what's not being used anymore, so I don't spend time learning that, and then what's the equivalent of that, so that I know what I should be looking at. So if I come across something that gives me a director, I can look at that and go, okay, well, that library is out there, and some people still use it, but it's not the the approved, not the official path forward. And widgets, I mean not widgets, storyboard is, and so here's a link to storyboard and go check that out, that kind of thing. So Brian, if you know of a list, or want to help me put together a list, or if the community at large,
Yeah.
Put that on your to-do list.
I'll put that on my to-do list. As soon as I finish a
But-
few more apps, write another book, and we'll get on that.
Get the Chinese, Russian, Japanese, whatever Portuguese book put out. Sure, got that. But yeah, so let's put that out to the community. Say, hey guys, help us put together a list that does that. Just either put it in the comments below or send us questions at Corona Geek and let us know. I'll start that list. Maybe we can update it on a regular basis. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Corona blog highlights. So they also, moving on, they also posted on the blog a Wednesday FAQ. I know, blog post. Basically, every Wednesday they do like an FAQ section. So here, yeah, let me bring that up. You got that? Yeah. And last Wednesday was FAQ Wednesday, Lua programming tips. Now there's some good stuff in here. Some of it's kind of basic information, which is great, especially if you're getting started. But one of the things that I thought was kind of cool that I didn't know was that down at the bottom they talked about block style commenting. And in block style commenting, you get more than one line of code. You can block out a whole section of code, and usually that's like 2 dashes and then 2 brackets, and then at the other end you put 2 dashes and 2 brackets, and you create this block. Well, they were saying if you put 3 dashes at the top, once you've done your block code, if you put 3 dashes, then it, I guess, basically turns off the commenting.
Yes, that's right.
And opens up that block of code back up, so now it's available to be interpreted.
It's a great way to test a new section of code, or if you're wanting to run something in the simulator, text boxes or text fields or something like that only run native, you can turn that section on and off real easy for doing some testing.
Yeah, I thought that was a good tip. I mean, it's one of those I like efficiency tips. They save you maybe a fraction of a second, but you do it like a zillion times and it all adds up. And that seemed like a really good one. So we'll put a link to the show notes in the show notes so you can see that. And then let's move on into our developer spotlight. So like I said before, we got special guests with us, Dean Murphy. Dean produced what was it? Joke Shake.
Joke Shake, that's the one.
Yeah, it's extremely popular. It's like the Beatles, man. It's like a worldwide sensation. Everybody's talking about it.
I find it strange. It's just getting downloaded in all these different countries that I didn't think would download it. So that was quite interesting.
Is that like a kind of like a child? I mean, you get to see everybody's responding to this thing, and you just feel kind of a pride for it. Is that
pretty much? I mean, yesterday I looked and it was number 480 something on the entertainment chart in Nepal.
Oh, wow.
Which I know it's pretty low down and no one's hardly going to see it, but it's in a chart in Nepal, and it's that language.
You wrote on your blog. You wrote a post about localization. So is Joke Shake localized, or is it they just do English there?
It's not. It's just purely English. Purely because jokes that I don't think they translate very well across different cultures and different. It'd be quite tricky to localize it, I think.
Oh, you think so? But you would still have to. Well, I guess so. I guess you're dealing with 2 elements there, right? Language and context.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, what I'm planning to do on my next app is just translate just the main words like start, finish, settings. Just the menu options, because there's not much text in that. But
well, for anybody who doesn't know, basically, if you haven't downloaded the app yet, you should. I don't know why you haven't, but basically it's kind of like I hate to make the comparison, maybe you don't even want to do that, but it's kind of like the Magic 8-Ball thing where you shake the device and you get a response.
It's pretty much based on that. If you look at my other app, if you click on the decider link just underneath Joke Shake on the left hand side, that's the app I made before Joke Shake, and it pretty much led me to make the app again, but a bit more refined and show jokes.
Yeah, so the decider has what, a coin flip, a dice roll, all those types of things, and you just shake it and get your thing, right? Yeah,
it's pretty much just a test app, just to test out Corona, and it was just something that I could play with and learn the SDK with, and I was quite surprised that Apple approved it, really.
Did you think they weren't going to? Is that you're kind of just like?
Yeah, well, they said on their on their developer notes, like, don't submit your trial apps that you're messing around with, and well, it seemed to work.
Oh, cool.
It went through.
Did we lose Charles?
Oh, I don't know, but his face is kind of squinched up right there, so we need to just like grab that and keep that for future reference. Well, how many apps do you currently have, Dean?
I've got 2 that I've made for myself.
Okay.
One that I've made for a client, someone I was helping on the Corona blog. Said I was helping him out with some stuff, and he basically said, "This is too hard. Can I pay you to make it for me?" So I made back a little bit of money on that, which is quite nice.
Very nice.
And about halfway through my 4th app at the moment, which is more of a game.
Very nice. What kind of have you ever done any kind of
Beyond just basic websites, not really. Nothing programmery. If that's what even.
Yeah, so you're not necessarily an old C++ or Objective-C guru starting.
Not at all. No, I only started programming in May or June. I think about June I started.
Cool.
Started learning. I've been trying to start for ages, but it's just so hard to find the right language. And I started off with Objective-C originally, and when I was looking at the books.
That's not where you want to start learning to program.
Yeah, I found out soon after, and it said, you should start with C. I got a C book, and it said you should start with something a bit easier. And everything I was looking at just said you should start with something else. So every programming language I tried just passed the buck to something else, which is quite funny.
So
which is one of the neat things about Corona is that we can say, no, start here.
Yeah.
So how did you get started with Corona in particular?
Well, like I say, I've been around the block a few times with different development kits. I mean, as Peach Pellin said last week, with Game Salad, I tried that. I couldn't really get into there. Tried Unity. I soon found out that was a bit too much for what I was looking for apps and casual games. It's a bit overkill.
Yeah, Unity's a great tool if you're creating a 3D virtual environment or something with a lot of depth to it. But the development time comparing Unity to Corona is 10 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to use, and but it was just overkill for my needs, basically, at the moment.
Right.
Well, plus Unity's got it's what, C# and JavaScript and all this other business, right? So
yeah.
I mean, it's a little more, like say, a lot more complex than like learning Lua.
Yeah. Then I found the Corona website and done a few tutorials and found it really easy, and it just picked up from there, really.
So everything, a lot of it's just sort of self-taught then? I mean, is that what you just went through the tutorials and kind of picked out what things did? And
Yeah, went through the tutorials, went through... I didn't actually see Brian's book, but I saw the book by Michelle Fernandez, I think her name is. I think there's only 2 books out at the moment on Corona. One's Brian's and one's Michelle's, and I've been through that. And that was... actually, I've only done half that book. And then I started on Decider, then I moved on to JokeShake.
You said June? June this year you started, right?
Yes, yeah.
You've been busy.
4 months, and you're on your 4th app.
Yes, surprisingly, I've surprised myself, really.
Very nice.
now what's you get Decider and then there's JokeShake. So is there 4 apps or 3?
The 3rd app I've made for a client, and
okay.
going for approval at the moment.
I missed that part. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So when we talked about this, I think on Facebook, you said that when you made JokeShake, you didn't use like the tab bar or anything like that. You custom coded your own stuff. So what was that like, kind of going through and trying to figure out how you were going to do things?
It was a big pain because I knew what I wanted it to look like. So I done all this hard work, and then I realised I could have done it in half the time with half the code if I just looked at the APIs and followed them. So I custom
or read
coded
chapter 15 of my book. It's
yeah. If I finished off the book and learned that the widget APIs, it would cut a big time off the development time. But
yeah, Dean stopped on chapter.
I guess I need to move that to the front half of the book so that people can get to it.
There you go.
But it was good because I learned how to do things the hard way, I guess, and learn how to position everything to look perfect on each display and customize it across the iPad. Because with JokeShake, my main thing I wanted to do was make it custom for both the iPad and the iPhone to make it universal, and then add iPhone 5 support because that came out roughly the same time as JokeShake did. So, so that was a big little, a little challenge, but big for me at the time.
Yeah, because you've published some sample code out there, right, and on GitHub that basically shows how to detect the device and that sort of thing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I thought there's lots of little things that I've been trying to do, and I've had to do it myself. And I think if I can help someone else do it, and also show them how to do it and how it works, it would help someone else out. And also, if a year's time I might forget, which would happen probably.
Oh, that's good. So documenting your own stuff.
Yeah.
Documenting your own work.
Yeah, it means I haven't got to look through all my old code just to find this one segment that I need. It's just there. It's very modular. Just add it in. Just makes it a bit easier to use, really, and easier to take across different projects.
Are you doing that now? Are you trying to make your stuff modular so that you can reuse blocks of it, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it more modular because with JokeShake and Decider, because I'm not really an experienced programmer, I just went in and just done it line by line, and I didn't really have any structure in place, and it all looked a little bit messy at the end. So I want to have more structure, have it more modular, so it's easier to see what's going on basically, and easier to pick out parts and transfer it. Make the future projects a bit easier, really.
So how did you? I've talked about this before. I like the simplicity of the interface. I like the concept is extremely simple. So I mean, how did you? You mentioned before that you were afraid that that Apple wasn't going to accept your app. How did you kind of? What was your thinking there when you came up with this app and said, I'm going to put this thing together? Were you just trying to? Was it just a concept app, or was it just like you're trying to do the? What were you trying to do there?
It's mainly it was mainly an app to say, look, I'm a programmer. I've made it. It's on the App Store. I've reached that mark. It was mainly just a milestone, really, for myself. I don't really expect it to make much money. Don't expect it to, live off of it. But it's part of the learning process that I've gone through. So it's good to have that all documented. It's good to look back on it and see what I've done wrong and what I can do better, and maybe update it for the future. Do future updates because I want to do a Christmas update this month. Put some Christmas cracker jokes in. Everyone loves that.
There we go.
Yeah, it seems like it's an endless. I mean, you could expand it in a multitude of different ways, and which was one of the things that. So your app really is inspirational to me personally because I get caught up on things having to be kind of perfect, or I want it to look a certain way or function a certain way, or I want it to I want these. I get caught up in all these little snags, and I know you did the graphics yourself, right? And you did the code yourself, and you learned you put it out there in the store yourself. I mean, so it was a one-man band, and you did it without getting caught up in all those snags. I think that's a big inspiration.
I think
that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm surprised I didn't hit the Apple rejection process. I haven't had any experience with that yet, so that's probably going to come in the future, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, I've been through the Apple rejection process.
Fact,
we tried to use a tool that pulled together a bunch of different feeds in order to create an app, and Apple said, you can do that on a website. You don't need to create an aggregation app. So I've been rejected by Apple.
It should have actually been rejected, to be honest, because I had to submit. Apple let you submit an emergency build that gets reviewed. If they approve it, gets reviewed within like 24 hours. When it first came out, I tried to do the in-app purchase, and I realised I submitted the app for review, but I didn't submit the in-app purchases for review. So when you went to do it, it just crashed the app. So when they reviewed my app, they didn't actually test the in-app purchases actually work. So I think that went by. It might have been because of all the iOS 6 thing that was happening at the time, so maybe it was a bit rushed and a bit lazy, but it was quite a big bug in it. So
Yeah.
I submitted a fix for it, and it was up and running within 24 hours, which is good.
So what do you think about the submission process? Do you think it's, do you think it could be improved, or is it all right, or what?
It's not too bad actually. I mean, it's just waiting. That's the biggest problem.
Come on, come on. It's just us, just the four of us. Nobody else is listening. You can tell us what you really think.
Well, I'll be honest, I also submitted it to the Facebook App Store, so it's all linked in with Facebook. And that was a pain because they need several different graphics and several different designs, loads of different, about 6 or 7 different banners, all different, like specific pixel lengths and pixel widths. That was a pain. That was worse. But no, I don't actually mind the Apple process of submitting it. It's just the wait that bugs me.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I know. We've submitted an iBook to Apple, and it seemed like you spend all this time creating this iBook, learning the tool, getting all the content together, writing the book, do all that legwork, just like we would do with writing an app. And then you got down to the submission process, and they were like, okay, you need to know what you want it to be priced in every country, and then you need to have this artwork for the cover and all these. I'm just like, you need a description and all this. Like, oh, you thought you were done, but here's all this stuff to do. Here's a list of things you need to do at the end. So.
No, it was a bit of a novelty for me, so I didn't mind it. But I think after a few apps, you get a bit tedious. But at the moment, I mean, it's an important part, like App Store optimization. It's a big thing right now, especially with iOS 6, helping the visibility of your apps, like with keywords and descriptions, pictures.
Have you done any testing on that? Have you tried are you in that zone yet, or are you going to do any testing on it to try to see if you can optimize it?
I'm going to do it with the next update. Because looking around, I'm the same. A lot of people just don't read the descriptions and just go straight for the pictures. And so I want to make the app images within the App Store look more, just tell you a bit more, a big bold letters telling you what's happening. So just make them more descriptive. And keywords, I think keywords are okay. I don't really know what else I can put in the keywords because it seems to describe the app quite well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I know that's a big topic of discussion these days. Is just everybody trying to optimize and get seen and that sort of thing. And so yeah, it always comes down to. Seems like the conversation always comes down to your icon design, your screenshots, of course the title of the app, and then the keywords and stuff like you mentioned. I guess I don't know what else you could test.
Yeah, I think it's like the 2-minute elevator pitch. You got like a 5-second view. When someone's got that little 5-second glance at your app, everyone's got short attention spans and just a quick look.
It's just the thumb, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm like. The icon, the name, the screenshot. That's what sells you. So that's what you got to work on, I think.
Yeah. Well, I like the app, and I know that like I said, I was inspired by the fact that. It just seemed like there was nothing more in the app than what was necessary, and then to talk with you on Facebook and for you to say, well, I didn't use the tab bar. I came up with my own. I had to come up with my own custom this or that, or to hear that you had things that you had to overcome before you got there, but you still got there. That was.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I would have. If I was to make the app now, I'd use the widget API, the storyboard API. I'd use JSON files or maybe a database for the thing. So I'd probably do it in half the time now, looking back at it.
So now there's a good question, and we're going to talk about this in a minute as far as database and stuff. But did you use? How did you on the backside? Is that tables or what is that? What is that?
Yeah, tables.
There's like 1,000 jokes in the thing, right? Isn't there?
There is, yeah. I mean, it's split down by category, and there's one table for questions, one for answers. So it picks a random number on the question, matches it up with the answer. So I mean, it's a table of about 250 phrases per category, I think. Which it performs okay. I don't think it performed much better over JSON or databases, but it'd be a more proper way of doing it.
Oh yeah, performance-wise, I think it's fine. It's just a matter of I guess either way you slice it, you got to put a lot. 1,000 jokes is 1,000 jokes. You can't get around it, But
yeah, thing I would like to implement is, looking back, if I had a database, have it remote sync, so I can add more jokes without having to update the app. It connects with a server
Stay
somewhere.
tuned, because we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that's a let's come back to that, because that's a
Yeah.
very good point. That's a very good point. All right, well let's okay, well, cool. Let's move on to some community questions then, and we'll kind of weave in the conversation there on that. And since we're kind of talking about pricing and stuff like that, one of the community questions is, should I price my app at 99 cents or use the freemium model? So, Dean, what do you think? You're using the freemium model, right?
I am, yeah. I'm using a freemium model. It's my app gives you like a category of jokes for free, and you can buy some more categories or remove the adverts. And it's not doing brilliantly, so I don't know if it'd be better as a paid app. I might experiment with that and do it as a paid app, but just to compare. But I've not really done much marketing on it, so that's probably why it's not getting. It's had like 1,000 downloads and about 15 in-app purchases, so I don't know what that kind of ratio is like compared to other apps.
Yeah, and I think it probably is just the topic itself. It's a it's a joke app. It's fun and things like that. But I'm sure if it was in a different category of app, it might see something different. I know that Tap for Tap podcast, they had an episode of their podcast where one of the developers was talking about he had 50,000 downloads in a day. So he told this story about having a paid app that does measurement. So you hold up your iPhone, and based on what the camera sees, it does some sort of measurement process. And he said he had put it out, and he'd seen I think maybe it seemed like he said like maybe 1,000 downloads or something like that. And it had in-app purchase, but it was a paid app. And then he flipped it and changed it to the freemium model, and he went from that to like 50,000 downloads in a day, and then it had tapered off to like 1,000 a day. And he said that he'd seen a certain percentage of that would actually pay for something in the app, unlock it, and that sort of thing. He didn't say what the percentage was, but I thought that was a pretty good numbers, just to see that he had flipped it. So in
there's
such
a big
scale.
kick on that.
Uh-oh. Is it just me? I guess so. Awesome. It's just me and you, Dean. All right. Well, hopefully they'll come back in. So there were some other articles though that went out, and we'll put all these in the show notes. But basically, there's a huge discussion right now as to whether or not you should do freemium or you should do paid. And if you look at the growth on the freemium side, it's gone exponential. I mean, it seems like everybody is doing freemium.
Yeah, well, I had a quick look at the top grossing apps in the UK App Store. And the top 5 are all what I like to call addictive-based apps. They're free apps, and they've got an isometric view similar to Theme Park, and you got to pay for extra stuff, or you can wait it out and not pay. So, for example, you can build a castle, wait an hour for it to build in real life, or you can buy some download credits. So a lot of them seem to be, a lot of the top gross apps, the top 5, are all these addictive apps that don't offer much gameplay, but I don't know, they're quite strange.
Yeah, I think the model that's used is probably going to depend on what type of app it is. Personally, those time-based apps annoy me. I don't really like those. I would rather do like yours and unlock some feature of the app, as opposed to just being annoyed into paying money.
Yeah, there's no real game in them. They're using like popular franchises like the Jurassic Park one, the Simpsons one, and there's no real goal. It's just you're building a city or you're building a castle, and you just got to pay money to unlock different sprites, really. So they're the top growth snaps. So it's weird to see who their target market is, who's buying these sorts of things, because there must be a good market there, because the top 5 apps are all of this style.
Huh. So yeah, I know that some people are put off by the fact that it's a the in-app purchases. I know, Toff, that's one of your big things is, does it have in-app purchases? Does it force me to? I mean, can I actually use the app, or am I going to have to buy something after?
Oh, and this is actually one of my pet peeves as a consumer. If I have to buy gems or credits or crystals or, I mean, points, any of those, and they start saying, oh, you can buy 600 for this and a 10,000 for this. Yeah, no, that doesn't even get downloaded, just period. Now,
Yeah.
the ones that have an in-app purchase that say like 99 cents for extras, okay, I'm not, not a big deal. But the moment I see gems or crystals or points or credits, it's like, nope, this is not going near my kids, because I've done one of those games, and it was a big source of frustration, because you start playing and it's like, oh, the only way I'm going to win this game is by giving you my wallet, and then I can play the game and have fun. No, I want to cap my cost. And I don't want to give something to my kids knowing that they're going to come back to me in approximately 5 hours and go, I need more gems, I need more points.
The scariest thing is when your children first come to you and go, I need a credit card.
Yes. Yes.
That's not scary at all, because the answer is no. You need a job is what you need. No. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you've talked about it yet, since I got disconnected there briefly, but one of the things to consider whether you're going to go paid or freemium is your market. If you're making an app that's for a very specific market, you understand that market. It might be a very small market. You're probably not going to want to go freemium. If you understand your market, you know what they're willing to pay for something, then go ahead and charge for it. Now, if you're going for a large mass market, such as the Easy Measure or JokeShake or one of these perfect apps that they're perfect for the freemium model. It comes down to what's your app, who is going to be buying it.
Yeah. Can you make it up on volume, or do you need to try to make that money up front? Yeah, I agree. And we're going to put a lot of show notes here for this topic, but there are articles that are out there that talk about this. That what we were talking about when you guys were gone was that the freemium has grown exponentially over the past few years. I mean, it is definitely an option, and I would probably say one of the most attractive ways to go. However, if that's the case, if freemium is dominating everything, then why are there still paid apps? And some of those conversations are the fact that, well, the freemium model works great for games, but maybe it doesn't work great for productivity apps. And also, is it something that, like you say, can you sustain growth? Can you make money by offering it as a freemium? Maybe not. Maybe it's not that. We saw on some of the stats that we posted on Corona Geek. Basically, there was one. What was the one that said there was like 90 at the beginning of the Q3? No, it was at the end of Q3. 95% of the people who had started in the beginning of Q3 were already gone. So if you had a game, there was a huge amount of churn. So asking someone to pay in a market where there's so much churn doesn't make any sense, because it's a barrier to entry. But if you have a productivity app in a very small market, then you're more likely to be able to sell that to them, as opposed to having to do some kind of freemium model. So I don't know. But we'll post all the show notes for that, so that people can look and see what we're talking about. I know, if as a consumer, I like the freemium model, not because I don't want to pay, but because sometimes there's apps that I actually see that I like, and they don't have a free or a light option, and there's no way for me to test it out, and I'm not just going to give $5 or $2 or even 99 cents if I don't know if it's a fit. I can.
Yeah, that's really frustrating when you start going, the reviews are good, but it's $4.99, and you go buy it and you go, oh, this is not at all what I was thinking or what I wanted, and I can't get my money back. There's
Yeah.
not an instant return. It's
Right.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
strange to think, as Charles pointed this out a week or two ago. That's the cost of a cup of Starbucks coffee for your apps. So
Yeah,
Go buy
exactly.
an Xbox game and see how that works out for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, these. I know. Even putting together the very simple apps that we're putting together on here at Corona Geek, it's like, good grief. I mean, the time and energy spent in order to sell an app, and it's 99 cents. Traditionally it would be a 60, 70, $80 game. So
Right.
it's a huge value, but it's a barrier. It's a barrier. If I can't try the thing out, then it's a point of friction. All right, well, let's move on to we got a lot to talk about, and we've got a very short time to do it. So for today's app review, basically, really don't want to do a whole review over it. It's Dropbox. Mainly, I just wanted to kind of talk about the fact that if you're not using Dropbox, you're probably missing out to some degree on a very good resource. So if you go to Dropbox.com, you can sign up, get a 3 gig account now, is it? You can get like a free 3 gig account or something. And from there you can share. Are we still there? We can share. Got lots of good stuff going on today.
we got a lot of glitches happening.
Yeah, you can share files with people. It's probably still one of the easiest ways to do. I know, Dean, you had talked about you like Google Drive.
Yeah, mainly it's just another login I don't have to remember because it all links in with the Google ecosystem. It logs in with my Chrome account, Google Mail, Analytics. It's all in one account, so it's the less logins I have, the better.
And Google Drive is a great resource, but like you just said, you have to already be plugged into the ecosystem in order to be able to use it. Whereas Dropbox, an email address and a password, and you can create a free account and start sharing files with people. And as far as getting access to things, I know there's Textastic, which is a great code editor on iPad and I think on the iPhone, and that connects in with Dropbox. So if you want to use that as sort of a code repository, you can. And there's a
also
bunch of
Jot.
Jot. There's a bunch of tools these days that are integrating with Dropbox and just making it extremely easy to get access to your files. And so you've got a device that's got maybe you got a 16 gig iPad, like the iPad Mini, 16 gig, which may be great for some books and some audio and a few games. But then with Dropbox, you've got access to like 100. If you get the big, supersize it, you can get the 100 gig account, and as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection or something like that, or cellular connection, now you've got access to all your files.
I think the big thing on Dropbox as a developer is for being able to test on Android devices. I drop the APK into my Dropbox account, have Dropbox installed on my Android device, which again, it's free, and tap on it, and it will ask you, do you want to install this APK? Say yes. That's important if you're a developer. And then it installs to the Android device. You can test it, and that's all there is to doing everything for doing your test. It really is that easy.
Well, that's a great tip. Yeah, I mean, Dropbox is installed in your local machine, and it's also out there.
Chapter 4 of the book. I mentioned that tip.
There you go. I guess I didn't make it to chapter 4. No.
No, I've got we got our own server. We've got Google Drive. We got Dropbox. I've got about 8 different ways of moving files left, right, and sideways. But in all honesty, it is so easy just to tell a client, hey, go here, download and install, and then I'll hook you up. And other than, well, are you already on Google Drive? Are you already on this system? Do you understand how to upload via FTP? What? Yeah. Here, go to Dropbox. Here's a link. Just click on the link. Green is good. Click on the link, and it's all taken care of, and they don't have to learn anything new, think about anything. Little folder right there. Put it in the folder, and Toff gets it. It's just magically there.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Brian was talking about, drop that APK in your folder on your desktop or wherever you have that Dropbox folder, and boom, it's just there. Now it's available to your mobile device and whoever else that you're sharing with. You have a testing team or whatever. So yeah, can't say enough good things about it. So if you haven't done that already, go to Dropbox.com and check it out. We'll put a link in the show notes so that you can get there as well. So that's the app review for today. Let's talk about. We got like 3 or 4 more topics here. I kind of want to try to squeeze them in before the 3 o'clock hour. So we're going to be short on time for the iPad talk, but I think we can get it all in. Essentially, iPad Mini came out, so we had to go and get one. And
iPad Mini, good. We can move on now.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Love it. The thing is super thin and super light. I used it all weekend. It's
Same resolution as the original iPad and iPad 2.
Yep.
1024 by 768.
See, I have an iPad 2, so as far as the whole no Retina display thing, I don't really. It's not that big a deal to me, and it's such a small device that I don't think that it would matter anyway. You know, everybody's talked about squishing up the pixels and and everything. But as far as usage, it's an iPad. It's all the power is there, all the responsiveness is there, and the one thing that I absolutely love is I can hold it for more than 10 minutes without my arm going to sleep. Because the iPad, the full-size iPad, can be a boat anchor after a while. And the other thing that I love, absolutely love, is that you can't see it here, but I look at it, yay, my thumbs can touch, can touch each other. Whereas with the full size iPad, it was like I don't know, it was like playing pinball or something. It was hard. But no, love it, absolutely love it. I think that Chris, you mentioned something that I thought was when we were in the store was extremely important, and that is that the iPod and the iPad Mini is about a $30 difference.
Yep.
And I think that when the kiddies say, "Mom, Dad, I want an Apple device," I think the parents are going to go in and they're going to get the iPad Mini. I just think that's, unless you have a use case, unless you have a specific reason why you want the iPod, I think people are going to go for it, because this you can either get this or you can get this, and there's a $30 difference.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I'll take the bigger one. I'll take the one that's basically a TV. And oh, by the way, people say you can't put the iPad Mini in your pocket. You sure can. You can't do it on.
Whether you should or not is a big question.
Yeah, that's a good question. You can't do it in blue jeans unless you've got some sort of baggy, cargo blue jeans. But I wear cargo pants, and you can put it in your pocket.
The ship's tablet.
It is a ship's tablet. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Quarter Share by Nathan Lowell? Yeah, it's a ship's tablet.
Okay, that's going in the show notes because that's the second time we've referenced Quarter Share.
Yeah, ship's tablet.
It is the equivalent of the communicator on Star Trek, basically, which is the iPhone. The iPhone is the communicator, and the tablet is the ship's tablet. Yeah, no doubt. But while we were we went to the mall. We were there, and we were there like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty much dead. I mean, the whole store, not just.
Yeah, walk right in, buy whatever you want,
But by noon, because we went back to the store for something else. But by noon, it had picked up, and there were people all over the place. Now there wasn't a line. What's that? Yeah, lunch break. Yeah, so by lunch, people were in there looking at these devices, and so we were able to see kind of what was going on there, and then we left the store and went around the corner, and there was a Surface kiosk where they were doing the Surface RT and all that kind of stuff, and they had the touch keyboard, the flat blue keyboard, and then they had the tactile keyboard.
The tap, yeah.
Is it what they're calling it, to tap?
So that's what I thought the lady said is, well, that's the tap keyboard versus the touch keyboard. And I was like, oh, that one clicks. Got it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we got an opportunity to put hands on that one, and I think the coolest thing about it is the keyboard.
Yes.
Because the keyboard doesn't suck as much as you think it would. I mean, not to be negative, but typing on glass is not something that's everybody's cup of tea, and typing on this flat, hard, rigid, keyboard didn't seem like it was going to be all that great, but it wasn't really that bad.
It was thin. It was light. I loved it. I really, it's like I wanted to rip that off of the Surface and run over to my iPad and glue it on.
Yeah, no, it would be the perfect iPad keyboard.
Exactly right.
But then when you took the keyboard off of the Surface, here's where it got interesting, is because now it's a tablet, right? I mean, really, isn't it kind of it's sorta not sorta being sold as a tablet?
Well, it's being sold as the next PC.
Yeah.
Microsoft is pushing this as this is a content creation device, not a consumer consumption device.
And it's also touch, though.
Right. But and I think the big push for Microsoft, and Microsoft hasn't given me any devices or money or anything like that. But I did watch Leo Laporte's This Week in Tech report, and he had some really good points that it's got the full Microsoft Office minus Access installed on the device, and so you can be creating content with Word and Excel and Note and create. Whereas when you get your iPad, you don't have that. You've got a connection to the iTunes store and iBooks and things like that. You've got to purchase Pages. You've got to connect and get Google Docs if you're going to use Google Docs. It's not being delivered as a content creation device, and Microsoft is pushing theirs as content creation.
It's the new
I think that's an important distinction to make between these two devices. That as we move along, I think that's going to become a bigger and bigger issue, especially as we think about these for putting them into students' hands. One is for content creation, one is for content consumption.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, because I tend to use the iPad for a lot of things, and I see it more as a content creation device than a lot of the people that I talk with. See, Chris is shaking his head. He sees it as a purely consumption device, and I see it as a creation device.
Mine is a creation device after I've purchased a bunch of software and apps and had it installed.
Yes.
Now it's content creation. It wasn't content creation when I first got it.
No, I agree absolutely. Yeah, there is a very thin barrier there that, like you say, if it came with Pages, if it came with Numbers, if it came with iMovie already installed, it would
be a MacBook itself.
It would be a MacBook Air and it had a keyboard on it, and
and I have a keyboard on mine, and I've spent a lot of money in addition to the purchase of the iPad 3 that I've got, or as Apple calls it, the iPad. I've spent quite a bit making it into a content creation device.
Yeah.
And I think that is an important distinction to make with what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the difference Microsoft's trying to make between their devices, is one is for creation, one is for consumption.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert here, Dean. I know you haven't watched or listened to the 5x5 podcast with Marco Arment, but in that he talks about the fact that the Surface really isn't a laptop. I mean, it's being billed as this laptop replacement, the next computer, and that sort of thing. But it really is, and it's aptly named because you need a Surface to put this thing on in order to be able to use it. You can't put it in your lap. Right. And even though, when we took the keyboard off of it, it was awkward as a tablet. It didn't really work, even as an Android tablet or an Apple, iPad. It was less of a tablet than those devices. Even though it has touchscreen and all that kind of stuff like that, it just really wasn't intuitive. But so anyway, so they've got that. That was nice to kind of see. And then we went right around the corner, and there was a whole Samsung display. So it was almost like these guys were all just. I mean, Apple's always there, but Microsoft showed up and popped up a lemonade stand, and then right next to them, Samsung was like, okay, well, we're going to do the same thing, and they had this big setup, and we went and we looked at what was it, the Note 2,
They
Galaxy
had
Note 2.
the one feature that I wish, oh please,
Oh man,
I wish I had on my iPad, and that is that little slot that you can put an SD card in that turns your 8 gig, or actually I think 16 was as low as you get. Your 16 gig tablet suddenly adds a 64 slot that you can put all your movies, your songs, your files, everything. So you just totally put a hard drive into this thing that's removable, whatever you want to do with it. And that is phenomenal when you're in a car with 2 kids driving to Florida for 2 days.
Look, a new hard drive with games for the trip back.
yeah. So that was really cool. They have that going on for them, which Apple could add that maybe, but I agree. I'm coming over to your side of the argument on that because I can see how that
I'm
would be
seriously
beneficial.
considering that something like that's going to be my next device, not the iPad Mini. That expandability is a really nice feature.
I had a client ask me, she says, I've got the 8 gig iPad. How do I upgrade it? You go buy the 16 gig iPad. That's your upgrade path. There is no just pop in a new hard drive. It's not there.
Yeah, well, we saw in the Note 2 that was a beautiful device. I mean, very well constructed, fits good in the hand. Just aesthetically pleasing. We saw the what was it, the Note 10 or is it Tab 10 or
Galaxy Tab 10, 10.1, 10.2. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice device. That's a big tablet.
On that too.
My son has one of those, and he absolutely loves it.
Yeah, and Dean, I know you've posed this question before. Is the Android market, is it a opportunity waiting to be exploited, or I don't remember how you phrased it, but basically, is it out there and we just haven't tapped it yet?
Is it an untapped market? Yeah.
Untapped market.
Untapped. Yes. Yeah. What's the downloads like compared to iOS? I know a lot of Android apps go for the freemium model and the free model with adverts and in-app purchases. So I'm not really sure really because I've never really had an Android device, so I'm quite new to it. Which should go into next year. I want to get into it a bit more.
Are you gonna release port any of your apps to Android at all?
Well, thanks to Corona, it's 3/4 of work is already done. It's just waiting to be built. Really, a few little tweaks here and there. But
well, and Amazon's now available in the UK for selling apps, so you should be able to.
It is. Well, we only got the Kindle. We only got the Kindle Fire last month or the month before. So that's the thing. I mean, building an app for a tablet that's available in like 100 to 200 countries, like the iPad, or 9 countries, I think, like the Amazon. Is it worth targeting that market share?
Well, when you are publishing to Amazon, they are testing it for, and this isn't to promote Amazon or anything, but they are looking at it going on to the Samsung Galaxy Tab, the Fire, a multitude of devices, not just theirs. So they are trying to really hit the whole Android market.
Which is interesting because I read a thing today, posted in the show notes, but basically Amazon is doing app recommendations now in Kindle Fire HD. So just like customers who also bought these items, or you might be interested in these types of apps and things like that, they're going to be kind of trying to push app recommendations in the device as well as on their website and stuff. So app discovery should be a little better in the Amazon marketplace, which is, to me, okay, so here's to me, this is the thing that the Google Play Store is missing. So somebody's not taking charge and curating and protecting the ecosystem for the developers.
Right.
They're not making sure that I mean, even when Kindle Fire came out, it was only a subset of apps from the Google Play Store. They didn't publish everything in the Kindle Fire, and I think that's what's missing from this, like you say, Dean, this untapped market of Android. It's the fact that developers are having a hard time making money. I posted the link, but there's also an article out there that talks about the problems that they're having with malware, and there's nobody really kind of pushing or promoting or nurturing this ecosystem, but Amazon seems to be doing a better job of it than Google.
Yes.
So it's kind of one of those things of I would, like you say, Dean, I'd like to see more a larger distribution of devices under the Amazon label, and maybe hopefully that'll help turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's got that experience of running a store where Google hasn't, so they're used to running. That's what they do well. They run a store.
Yes.
So they're using a lot of their marketing practices for their bookstore, their basically their everything store now, into apps, which is quite interesting. I think there's a lot of potential in Android tablets over the next year for developers.
Yeah.
What you got there?
This is one of the biggest differences between my iPad and the Samsung Galaxy. If you ever look at the stylus that comes with the 10.1, it's this itty bitty little, like a pen.
Oh, the S Pen.
I discovered as I was using their stylus, it was so much better than this one, which has this big crayon broken off nub. I mean, I've used it and I like it, but it was very different whenever I did the Galaxy. I mean, not to segue too bad, but I really liked their pen. Just bottom note.
Well, I would buy a Galaxy tablet, single purpose, just for that the ability to be able to draw on it. I mean, the S Pen, especially the Samsung, with the S Pen, it is such a level of accuracy and detail with that it just feels different. It feels like you're writing with a pencil as opposed to, like you say, a big fat wax crayon. So anyway, yeah, I think so. We got the opportunity to play with all these devices. I think Apple's got a lot of pressure, a lot of competition coming down on them. I think if Android could get their stuff together, and I don't mean Android the community, I mean Google could curate and nurture like Amazon is doing, then eventually, yeah, Apple could have some serious competition. I mean, because if they could get the developers on board and protect it and make sure the developers get paid and protect the consumer experience, then yeah, why not?
Yeah, Google Play is just such a frustrating experience that why mess with it?
Well, yeah, and it's just not your first thought of going there. I mean, on an iPad, right. Your first thought is I'm going to go to I'm going to buy my apps, boom, and then you just don't. I don't know. It doesn't. It's not a source of media. It's right. A place to buy apps, but it just doesn't feel the same. So yeah, hopefully Amazon will turn that around. So anyway, I'll put a link to the show notes to that because that's their whole app discovery model is improving every day. Do we want to save the database thing for next time, or do we want to talk about it now?
Let's save that for next time because I'm actually finishing up a tutorial on that exact topic.
Okay.
And we'll hopefully have it ready to go to YouTube and everything, so we can discuss it then and go into depth on the whole pulling something from a MySQL file on a remote server, converting it to JSON, downloading it to an app, and saving it to a SQL file. I mean, okay. That's the whole enchilada that you want to be able to do if you're doing a remote updatable application.
Yeah. We'll table that until next time. We'll come back to it because I have some opinion pieces on that and some background stuff.
It's a good teaser for next week.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So basically next week we're going to talk about should you use a database in your app? Should you use a simple text file? Should you use JSON? Those types of things, and we'll give you the reasons why next week. So, okay. Well, Dean, thanks for being on the show with us. And if you haven't already, if we haven't mentioned it, I'll definitely put it in the show notes. But you can check out Dean's app, Joke Shake, on the Apple App Store. Just I guess just you can just search for that, or you can Google JokeShake.
Jokeshake.com.
Yep.
Jokeshake.com.
Did you get JokeShake.com?
Surprisingly, yeah.
Oh, excellent.
I'm good with domains.
Nice piece of marketing there. So go to jokeshake.com and you can download his app from there and check out his other app, Decipher. I think it's a nice little app as well. And when are you going to have the next one? When's the next one going to come out?
Hopefully within the next month.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have it out before Christmas.
And that one's going to be a game, correct?
It is, yes. It's going to be a math-based game.
Okay, so yeah, we want to have you back on the show and talk about that before you launch it.
I'll have a few promo codes for you to hand out as well.
Oh, nice.
So you appreciate competition.
Very cool, very cool. Well, hang on after, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But
Okay.
so guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there with us. I know we had a couple of technical issues today, and the show ran a little long. But thanks for being here. Check us out on Google Plus, of course, Facebook, facebook.com/CoronaGeek, twitter.com/CoronaGeek. And if you have any questions or comments, anything that you want to say to us, questions@coronageek.com, or you can just post a comment down below and we'll get it there as well. All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take it easy.
Bye.
See ya.